by the water.
Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Look here, this story is about this guy named Rodney, right? Rodney was a stick-up kid, you know what I mean? Before he came to prison, he had all the dope boys on spool. And some gang members out there on the town, right? Because, you know, when he went on one of his robbing sprees, nobody was safe. Anybody could get it. Plus, like I say, he didn't have no problem popping that gun. None whatsoever. So everybody knew that he was like that Debo in the neighborhood. And when he coming after you, right? But like all people in the streets, all criminals in the streets, you know, your time runs out. And it's time to pay the piper. And that's what happened to Rodney. Rodney got involved in this situation one day where he had to shoot somebody. I'm talking about he laid it on him, right? He ain't kill him. You know what I'm saying? And that's good. Thankful for that. You feel what I'm saying? Because, you know, when you take a life, man, it changes everything. So y'all remember that when you're out there, when you playing these games in the streets like you playing a video game. It's real, man. When they put them handcuffs on you, put you in that car, and then take you in that courtroom, then take you in the back and take you out to that penitentiary, it's real. It ain't no reset button. It ain't no start over like on no video game. It gets real. But let me get back to Rodney, okay? Now, Rodney, he ended up having to pop somebody during one of his robbing sprees, right? They laid him down for about 12 years. So he had to do it. Now, keep in mind, you know, he was a robber on the town. And a lot of the things that he did, a lot of the money that he made, he would give it to his mother and his sister to help them out, you know, because they were struggling. So Rodney took it as, you know, he being the man of the house. Bad example, good intentions, wrong way to go about it. So remember that too, y'all. You feel what I'm saying? So anyway, Rodney doing this time, he walking it down like a champ. Walking his time down like a champ. And he's meeting a lot of people in the penitentiary. But let me tell you something about a predator. Because that's what Rodney was. He was a predator. The whole time Rodney's meeting people in the penitentiary, you know, even though they knew what he was or what type of cloth he was cut from, they still associated with him. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people believe, you know, keep my enemies close and all that kind of stuff. But Rodney, to the core, was a predator. And when I say predator, I'm talking about he was a robber. So every relationship that he fostered in the penitentiary was a potential sting for him. He making sure he getting to know dope boys that lived in other areas, gang members that lived in other areas, because he's trying to find out what they got, how much they got, and what they doing. He plays the long game. That's what all robbers do. They play the long game. Man, I know some people, man, that'll lay, you know what I'm saying, up under your house for a week watching you without you even knowing it, trying to figure out where you putting your stash at. So to Rodney, these 12 years, it was just recon. And recon is basically what the military does. When they go out, they try to find out where the enemy's at, what he's doing, and all of this, what type of weapons that they have and all this. And so when they strike, they got the ups. And that's what Rodney was doing these 12 years. Everybody he was meeting in there, he's writing down a journal, in his journal, trying to keep up with them, where they live, where they from, who they associate with, how much money they talking about they got, and the connections that they say they got. Doesn't mean any of it is true, because a lot of people in the penitentiary lie. You can be anything you want to do, be anything you want to be in the penitentiary. I'm telling you now. But here's the thing. Rodney was serious. He dead serious about his hustle. So he's walking these 12 years down, and he's met a lot of people. A lot of people. You know what I'm saying? And he's shaking the spot. He's shaking the spot. But here's the thing, too. One of them dudes, man, that Rodney had robbed on the town, he's major now. And when I say major, he's major. You know what I mean? He got locked up. He's in the penitentiary. And he sees Rodney. And this dude got money to pay the bills. I'm talking about long money. But he can't fight. He ain't built like that. So it don't keep him from wanting his lick back though. So he contracts with this gang that's in the penitentiary. He contracts with them to take care of Rodney. So one day they bump down on Rodney. I'm talking about when I say bump down, they bump down. They come because they know they got to come hard. Even though he in the penitentiary, he ain't got no gun, he's still a fighter. He real raw streets. He come from the bricks. You feel what I'm saying? He gets it how he lives. He accepts that. He lives that. He breathes that. Right? But they put hands on him, man. And I've always said in my show, y'all know this, right? You can't beat them all. When they come in them numbers like they come, they keep coming in waves like ants. Just keep coming and keep coming. And they're going to crush you. They're going to crush you. Yeah, stand up. Don't run. Don't do that because you make it worse when you run. Stand up, man. Take your lick. But you get a couple of them. Get as many as you can before you fall. Because when you fall, it's over with. Lights out. Lights out. And all you can hope for is that you wake up. And it ain't over. It ain't over. But see, this is one thing they underestimated. Rodney got up. He got up. But he's beaten so bad. He's beaten up bad. Penitentiary rules in effect. He know he can't go to visit. He can't go to visit that weekend and let his mom and his sister see him, right? So he cancels the visit. He calls home and he tells them don't come. And his mom, she's like, no, I want to see you, baby, and all this and that and blah, 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 right? You know, he got about a year left on the sentence. So they've been coming to see him once or twice a month. And he's looking at it like, well, you know, you can come next week. He's hoping he's healed up. He don't want his family to see him like that. And I understand that because they worry about us in here. They worry about our health. And if he goes to visit looking like that, not only would it worry them, but it would cause the people at the prison to have to do their job. So when something like that happens in here, you stay out of sight as much as you can. You keep your lokes on. You feel what I'm saying? You keep the hat on, pulled down so they can't nobody really see you. You stay in the pod as much as you can. You stay in your cell as much as you can. You feel what I mean? And you heal up. You heal up. Don't get it twisted. The people that work at the prison, they'll see you and they'll ask you about it. But, you know, we always tell them I slipped and fell. I bumped my head on the door. Some old crazy excuse. They just want an explanation. They just want an explanation. It don't have to be true. You feel what I'm saying? And they know you're not telling the truth, but they understand how prison is too. You don't talk about things like that in here. And that's another sad reality of being in here. You could get hurt in here, assaulted in here. And it is expected of you to not say anything. To get help, they need to know what happened to you. But you know, we can't even tell them the truth because that's penitentiary rules. So remember that when you're thinking about doing something silly out there, coming up in here. There ain't nothing straight about this. You can't even be honest about getting beat up in here, because that's going to cause them to have to lock you up, and then they're going to go get somebody else to lock up. Next thing you know, you branded a snitch. And that's not what Rodney wanted at all. So here's the thing. He cancels his visit, man. He cancels his visit. So his mom and his sister, they don't come that weekend. But they do go out. They go to the mall and do a few things out on the town because they had planned to be on the road most of the day going to see him and then coming back. So they had nothing else to do. So they both decided, let's go to the mall. Let's go do a little shopping and enjoy ourselves. You know what I'm saying? The mama-daughter thing, you know. And Rodney's sister, you know what I'm saying? She was a teenager, you know. She had grown up, you know, becoming a woman and all these types of things. But here's what happened, y'all. While they were out enjoying themselves, they were in an accident, a head-on collision. A drunk driver was going the wrong way down the road and hit him, crashed right into him, killed him. Car blew up on impact. But he walks away from it. He walks away from the accident. Yeah, they arrested him, charged him with DUI. He ultimately got charged with 2 vehicular homicide cases, right? But Rodney, is feeling terrible because his mom had begged him to come see him. She wanted to see him. But he took for granted that they can come next week. They'll be around. You feel what I'm saying? Life goes on. There's no way he could have calculated or imagined that they would have ended up dead and he'd never, ever see them again. Never. Not on earth. So he spiraled out of control. He's losing it. He's losing it. And part of that anger that had built up inside of him, that was just growing up in him, he blamed that dude. He blamed that dude that he had robbed, that dude that become this big dope boy that wanted his lick back. And he blamed those gang members that had beat him. He blamed them. So the lawyer comes to see him, right? He gets a lawyer to look into the situation about the vehicular homicide. And the insurance companies are going to pay off, because the guy, he was a wealthy dude and all kinds of things going on, right? But he's going to prison. But the insurance companies, they want to settle the civil lawsuit that Rodney's lawyer has brought on his behalf towards the guy and the insurance companies, right? And the bar that had continued to serve this man drinks. Everybody was going to settle the case. So Rodney ended up with a lot of money, a nice settlement where he would not have to get out and rob and do all the things that he had been doing before he went to prison. But he felt guilty. He felt guilty. And when his lawyer brought him the papers to sign agreeing to the settlement, he broke down and he cried because he's looking at these papers and he's seeing these the money that they're going to pay him, and he feels guilty. He don't want the money. He's crying, and his lawyer is trying to comfort him and tell him it's okay. It's okay. They would have wanted you to have this money. They would have wanted you to take this money and do the right thing and live your life the right way. And the lawyer's trying to convince him, honor your family, honor your mother and your sister this way. Don't take this money and squander it. But let me tell you something, man. Rodney is so pissed about what happened. He can't receive. He hears what his lawyer is saying, but he can't receive what his lawyer is saying. It's eating at him. It's eating at him. And he wants his lick back. He wants his lick back. So he's got a few more months before he gets out of prison. And he's preparing for his revenge. He's finding out everything he can on the low about the gang and the gang members, those individuals that whooped him, that resulted in him having to cancel his visit. He's finding out everything he can about this dope boy that he robbed years ago when he was nothing, that has risen up the ranks in the streets to become this major player that could pay a gang to get his lick back. He's finding out everything he can about them, where they live, who their people are, money, everything. You feel what I'm saying? Don't forget what I said. Rodney, he's a stick-up kid. He plays the long game. Details are important to a stick-up kid. See, that's what a lot of people don't understand. They don't just wake up in the morning, I'm going to rob such and such. No. That ain't how they get out. Man, they work that thing out. They find out who you are, where you at, what you're doing, what time you come, what time you go. Yeah, they find out all that. They want to know your schedule. They want to know what you into. So when they bump down on you, you're the one that's caught off guard. And that's what he's doing. That's what Rodney's doing now. He's trying to figure out what's the best way to get his lick back. That's what he's trying to figure out right now. So here it comes. He gets out. He flattens out. He didn't make no parole. He flattens out. But before he leaves, the day before he leaves, he goes and tells the dude the dope boy that he robbed, he goes and tells him. He said, man, you're to blame for my mother and sister's situation. So the dope boy is looking at him. He don't have a clue. But see, this dope boy, he done got arrogant. You know what I'm saying? He ain't scared no more. He done paid somebody to whoop him. You know what I'm saying? He know he can get that done anytime he wants to. Now he got that bread. I'm talking about he got that serious paper. So he looking at him. He said, man, whatever happened to your mama and sister is because of you. But Rodney don't want to hear that. No matter how true it is, he don't want to hear that. He said, man, it ain't over. So the dope boy tell him, hey, whatever you want to do. See, he's not thinking. He's not thinking. See, that's how a lot of us are. A lot of us in the game, you know what I'm saying, wasn't thinking clearly. See, we don't anticipate everything. That's why we end up in the penitentiary, hurting people that we love, because we don't calculate how everything is going to play out. And this dope boy was no different. He can't calculate how his actions were going to affect everybody in his life. So then he also steps to the gang members that whooped him. And he tells them pretty much the same thing that he told that the dope boy. Said it ain't over. It ain't over. They look at him and they laugh. And you ain't nothing. You're Peon. Nothing, man. You ain't got no pool. You ain't got no power. Now, don't nobody know that Rodney got this bread but him and his lawyer. Now, the warden them at the institution, they knew because, you know, they got to know what people are coming in to do and all this and that. Now, they don't know how much money he's got or anything like that because they didn't put it on his books, but they knew that his lawyer was coming in to get him to sign some papers related to a lawsuit that came from the death of his mother and his sister in a head-on collision, right? They knew that much. So the gangs and the dope boy, they looking at Rodney like, you ain't nothing, ain't never going to be nothing but a stick-up kid. So they not really worried about him. Because see, on that hierarchy in the streets, stick-up kid is not up there like a lot of people think. Yeah, a lot of people fear him, but they not at the top of the pile. They're not generating income. The game is about generating income and who's generating income and if you're not the one that's generating income, can you eat off the plate? See, the stick-up kid is somebody that's eating off the plate way down the ladder because they letting everybody else set the plate and then they coming to take something. They way down the ladder. You understand what I'm saying? So they don't look at Rodney as somebody to worry about because he's somebody that can always be taken care of when you're at the top of the hierarchy. Remember that. Break this thing down before you get into this game and then you come to understand that it ain't worth doing. But again, let me get back to Rodney. So Rodney walked out the penitentiary. And on his way out, he got his book. And he take the bus home, right? Because his mom had a house, you know what I'm saying, that still owed money on. He paid it off with some of the settlement money, so he had somewhere to live. So he's reading his journal. This journal that he's gathered all this information on all of these people. He tears that out. He don't want that no more. He not finna do no more robbing. He feels that that's the way he can honor his parents, honor his mother, you know what I'm saying, and his sister. But the part in his journal about that dope boy and the gang, he locked in on that. He's gotten all the information he needs. He know where they live, where they from, who their mama is, dad is, girlfriends, kids. He knows everything. And he tells himself, ain't nobody safe. Until they feel what I feel, everybody can get it. Ain't nobody off limits. Nobody. When he gets off that bus and he walks home and he walks into that house for the first time in 12 years, he can still smell the scent of his mother, the cologne, the perfume that she used to wear. And as he's walking through the house, he sees that nobody's been there other than his lawyer. He sees it, and it's almost like a flashback in time, and he breaks down. And he walks to his mother's bedroom and his sister's bedroom, and he breaks down. And he promises, when he drops to his knees, he promises, I'm going to get even. And he says it's for them, but this is about him. And if you want to know how this story continues to unfold, tune into the next episode tomorrow. It's been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all. I've been trying to breathe underwater.